feasible to put in what I think is going to be an outstanding full display today to complete what has been an outstanding weekend. Coming in from the right now, here's Bertie, as he's known, Ian Brett, flying the Strikemaster. This sort of mid-50s generation of jets with the performance of something like a Typhoon, and you can see the limitations on it. Developed long after the, well, not too long after, but certainly the MiG-15 was still around and still is in operation in some areas of the world. But this, the forerunner of a long generation of really successful training aircraft to replace the Percival Provost, the piston engine aircraft in led through the development. The Mark III Jet Provost being one of their most successful training aircraft, produced countless thousands of pilots. But the aircraft achieved even more success in development in a pressurized Mark V version, which then led to the armed version, a Mark of the Mark V, becoming the Strikemaster. Mark owns a couple of these, both with Middle Eastern roots, interestingly enough. Mark 82, one from the Sultan of Oman, and the Mark 80A version, with roots in the Royal Saudi Air Force. Ian Brett's flying in today, got his roots in the Royal Air Force, like so many other display pilots. Some of you may remember he was the team manager of the Tutor, which we saw flying here a little earlier on. Now involved in commercial activity, having left the service and enjoying many weekends flying these aircraft on behalf of the North Wales Military Aviation Services. That itself, we're an employer of local professionals who maintain a broad range of light aircraft, ex-military fast jets, and a contract for deep maintenance of vintage aircraft from the Royal Navy as well. So just operating from just across the river from us here. So this aircraft is essentially a combat derivative of the Jet Provost Mark V. Considerable excellent success all over the world, and including combat service during the Oman and Yemeni wars. A very tough aircraft, an armoured cockpit, and a single but robust, if somewhat noisy, I would say, Rolls-Royce Viper engine. The manual controls making it slightly heavy to fly this aircraft at speed, but of course still very manoeuvrable, as you can see, using up a bit more space than the more modern jets. But in combat terms, actually in many respects perhaps advantageous not having hydraulic pipework, which could make it vulnerable to small arms fire and rockets. Very dynamic, showing off the aircraft beautifully for the audience here. The sun picking out delightful colour scheme. A few high energy aerobatics. Tricky to appreciate clearly the two ship, which we would hopefully normally see a little more dynamic presence, but nonetheless you can see a graceful display from Bertie here. And making the most of this wonderful blue sky we now have, getting rid of most of that irritatingly low scuddy cloud. combat service, of course, in the Omani wars, and both the Omanis and Saudis sharing parts, some interesting little detailed stories, but it was equally successful in sales to Sri Lanka, Kuwait and the Sudan, armed with 7.7mm or .303 inch machine guns. Turbojet there, producing 2,500 pounds of thrust, with a range around 900 miles, flying at a maximum speed of 440 miles an hour. You can get it up to 36,000 feet as well, climb rate around 4,000 feet a minute. Also able to operate with 6 60-pound rockets, in addition to the machine guns. And Bertie just calling up to say he's about to make his final fly past. So you know what to do, boys and girls, mums and dads, whatever you've got at the time, hats, coats, umbrellas, do please give him a big wave off. Ian Brett, flying BAC Strikemaster. Calling complete as we